威勢の良さだけはまだだ行くぞ耐えきれぬ自分したか行くぞ遅いぞひどいじゃないよ遅いぞ耐えきれぬ飛ばされただろ自分して飛ばされただと
2018 has already been a particularly good year for the fighting game genre, and things are only going from strength to strength as the year goes on. This one was actually a surprise release. It was only announced last week. It's called Koihime Enbu, and it's coming for PlayStation 4 and PC, and it's actually a +1 remaster, improved release, I guess, if you will, of the original, which has been kicking around for quite a while now. You can actually get the original in English on PC, but it was only released in Japanese on the PlayStation 4, so you had to import it if you preferred to play your fighting games on the console. Now, with this release, thanks to Degica Games, we're going to be able to play it in English in its improved form, which is a good thing indeed. So I've decided to do this video to take an early look, I guess, at the game. My review is not actually going to be too far behind anyway, because there isn't actually an embargo on this, and I've obviously got the code and I've been playing it for review, and I'm just starting to get a real good feel for it now, so I should have a review up by the end of the week with a bit more playtime put in. But these are my first impressions of the game, and I really like it, as I imagine you could probably guess, given that it has an all-women cast, and I do like my fighting games to have all-women casts where possible. This one is also fairly fan-servicey by 2D fighting game standards, as you can probably tell from the footage. There's lots of very short skirts and lots of breeze blowing those skirts around. And it's actually based, I believe, on an adult game franchise back in Japan, which was obviously never released out west. Koihime Enbu, which is, well, what the premise of the game is basically, or the franchise is, that these are the heroes of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms era, and re-envisioned as women. The Three Kingdoms era will be well known to people who have played the Dynasty Warriors series as being the era that series is based on, the Romance of the Three Kingdoms novel and the various game adaptations of it. But this one, if you didn't know that it was based on Romance of the Three Kingdoms, you wouldn't immediately make that assumption. It doesn't really go heavy on those elements. The backgrounds are probably the biggest giveaway, actually, that it's based on the Romance of the Three Kingdoms franchise, because one of the backgrounds in particular, or a couple of them, are based on really famous battles from that era. So other than that, this game doesn't have too much of a story. It's quite a limited release in terms of the amount of content that you get for it. I mean, I think we're all used to games like BlazBlue and Guilty Gear having pretty in-depth stories and a whole bunch of supplementary modes. This one only really gives you an arcade and a versus mode and an online versus mode, so it feels a bit old school in that regard, and it's certainly an indie project. But what the game has as its real strengths is the quality of the art is amazing. I really love the backgrounds. I find them absolutely gorgeous. Yes, they're static stills, but they're really impressive. They're really beautifully drawn, and they're really evocative, and they really do set the scene, which is a great thing, especially when there isn't too much narrative otherwise to really pull me in. I also really find the character animations to be very impressive, and the way that the characters move around the battlefield is slick and certainly well above what you would expect for a budget production. I would even say that it's a smoother fighting game than something like Under Night In-Birth, which is another indie fighting game that was released this year. This one is certainly it has more attractive character designs, and they're much more detailed and high resolution and all that stuff. So I prefer this game in terms of the visuals and the impact. And that helps me really get into it, and I like the characters. I think they're all nonsense. This game doesn't take itself very seriously at all, to be honest. It's a very jokey kind of game. But the combat system itself is quite good. Playing on the easiest level is a good way of getting into it. It's not too harsh on new players, but at the same time it does seem to have that kind of depth for people who want to get more into it and really get into the, I guess, the online modes and really get competitive with it. There seems to be enough in it to also to give those people the experience they're looking for. But anyway, that's just a short look at the game. Look forward to my full review later on in the week, and other than that, this game comes out next week, so like I said, not long to wait. Thanks very much for watching.